The Reds are almost. They're almost. The Reds are almost there, and that is the most frustrating part about all of this.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily Cincinnati Reds podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Reds podcast. Locked On Reds is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. They are our team, whether we like it or not. I'm Stephen Offenbaker. He's Jeff Carr. We are lifelong Cincinnati almost fans. We are lifelong baseball fans, and we've taken our lifelong love of the Reds and of baseball. We turn that into information for you each and every day. We've been doing that combined for the last 14 seasons in podcast form. On today's show, a little bit later, we're going to take a look and see if maybe there might be, if you squint your eyes and tilt your head, a little bit of light at the end of this tunnel. Jury's still out on that. We're going to talk about the Reds and their three-catcher system. This is a much better version of the three-catcher system than when last we saw it. We're going to talk about how to make that work and how to make that work for a longer period of time right now, given what else is going on with this team. But where we are going to start today is with the Cincinnati Reds being the almosts. They're almost good. They almost win. They almost do what they're supposed to do. They're almost fundamentally sound, and they almost have a great manager. We're going to talk about the almost on today's show. That is brought to you by me and Jeff, because we don't have a title sponsor today. So Jeff, where do you want to start with the almosts?
I feel like the nice way of putting it, while you're watching this Reds team early on in the season, I feel like that guy on Happy Gilmore, that every time Happy Gilmore does something wrong, the guy's just standing there going, and if you're listening on audio, that's just me just shaking my head with my mouth open and my eyes wide because, oh my gosh, that's what I feel like when I'm watching this team, because there's one play, there's one play that dooms them. And pretty much every one of these losses, there's been a couple of losses where they've lost by a lot, but for the most part, they're all close losses. And I'm tired of hearing that close losses are good. I get it. It's May. There's plenty of time to turn almost into yes, they are, but we're getting real close to when almost winning a ball game in May becomes almost making the playoffs, and almost ain't cutting it.
So here's what I want to talk about, Jeff, because I just logged off the old Twitter X app and some other online platforms immediately. Not for good, because I can't do it. You know me. I got to have a ranting platform. Right. Everybody is out to get Matt McLain right now. Everybody is blaming him. He hesitated. He should have made that throw. He's been terrible. Send him down. Send him to Louisville. It's ridiculous. First of all, there is a lot of blame to go around on that play. And is anybody else as annoyed as I am that it was Stuart frickin' Fairchild? I think that just makes it that much worse. But here's the deal. There's a lot of blame to go around. First of all, Fraley threw it to the wrong guy. That throw should have been to Spencer Steer down the right field line for Steer to make a play. The ball didn't go there. Error number one. Error number two, Spencer Steer should have been out there in short right field, waving and yelling for the baseball and basically getting Fraley's attention. Didn't see that on the replay. If someone's got a better angle of it and they did, you can correct me, but I didn't see it. Then when Fraley throws the ball to Matt McLain, Spencer Steer, as well as everybody else on the infield, just stands there and watches. Nobody is giving Matt McLain any idea of what is going on with the runner that's behind him that he can't see. Everybody that's ever played Little League baseball and beyond knows that if you're not the one getting the cutoff, you're letting him know where the runner is. You're yelling, home, home, home. You're yelling, hold it, hold it, hold it. You're letting him know what to do. Nobody did that. There's error number 3 on this play. And then still, after all of that, Matt McLain turns and has to find the runner on his own and misses him by about 2 inches of getting that out still. So 0 days, since the last incident. That's correct. If you saw Tito Francona's post game, he was asked about this play and he bit his tongue. He wanted to call some people out. I think he bit his tongue and basically just said, after biting his tongue, there was a lot going on there. There was a lot going on there that was outside of Matt McClain's control, was outside of anything to do with Matt McClain. So if we're going to put the blame on somebody, we can pass it around that whole side. Total lack of fundamentals, total lack of communication, which led to a Reds loss and really screwed up a great performance by my dude, Santiago Espinal. He made a gem of a defensive play, getting that runner at home in a rundown. And then he comes up with what would have been the game-winning RBI. I am really mad that they robbed him of that. He deserved that moment tonight.
We should be talking about Santiago Espinal, but we can't because of how the 9th and the 10th. And I mean, we can harp on the pick of Lyon Richardson out of the bullpen there, but quite frankly, the entire A squad had been used. So whoever you're using is part of the B squad. It just so happened that he picked the guy that was in Louisville 12 hours ago to pitch in the 10th inning with a ghost runner on second base in Atlanta. For me, it's just so frustrating. It's not even just that it was this one game. It's that you can look at so many games so far this season. And yes, the Reds are only one game under 500. And I think that is a perfect encapsulation of who they are right now. They are so close. They're right there. They're not bad. There's a lot of people that are just like, this team's horrible. This team's bad. No, they're not. But they're not good either, Steve. They're almost good. They're almost there. And almost is not going to cut it when you're chasing a team like the Cubs and when you're fighting with a team like the Brewers as well for position there in the second place. I mean, the Brewers are full of veterans. As much as they have lost some people, they still seem to replace those guys with guys who play smart baseball. And we constantly see these plays. The Matt McClain play is not an isolated incident where it's like, okay, people want to throw blame on Matt McClain, but that's not where you should throw your blame on. There's other things going on that the Reds are not taking advantage of or are not executing. And that feels like that happens far too often. And I know that Terry Francona came here thinking he was going to change all that. And I know we said he was going to change all that. And hopefully he does that tomorrow because it ain't happened yet. And it feels like we're running out of time. And I know that we talked about this on the latest MLB Squad show. In case anybody missed that, you should check that out each and every week on Tuesday afternoons. Gets posted here on the Locked On Reds channel. But we talked about where, okay, Memorial Day is the day you really start looking at the standings and you know how you can trust it. But if the Reds keep playing like this, they're going to be far out of it by Memorial Day because of who they have on the schedule.
Yeah, we talked last week before the National Series, Jeff, that they needed to start banking some wins in order to survive this stretch of the schedule. And now they're at a point where you can't let wins like this get away. You just simply don't have these wins to spare. And we're going to look back at days like last night. We're going to look back at games like this where they blow a game they should have won. And when it's in September and they're scratching and fighting for their lives and maybe just coming up a game or two short, these are the times we're going to remember. These are the things we're going to look at, which are completely avoidable. They could have completely avoided this last night and got out with a win.
It's immensely frustrating. Because, yes, we saw those great plays by Santiago Espinal. We saw a very interesting thing that I want to talk about here in just a few minutes of how Tito worked the lineup with his three catchers all playing, all starting at the same time. We saw some great pitching from Andrew Abbott. We saw some good pitching from Graham Ashcraft for an inning, and then he blew up. And then we saw some great pitching from my dude, Tony Santillan. Emilio Pagan, not the best, but quite frankly, like you need a few more runs in a game like this where you have the base runners. So maybe that one inning, that one run with the one play doesn't kill you like it did. It's just so frustrating right now. There's time, but the time feels like it's starting to run out a little bit. And that's where we're just annoyed. That's where we're
like you're looking. It's like looking at an hourglass and watching the sand just get lower and lower and lower. That's how it feels watching the Reds right now.
No, it 100% is, because I don't believe they're a bad team. I believe that they're almost a good team. But I know this, Steve. The Reds employed 3 catchers in one game on Tuesday night, and I believe that's an interesting blueprint for how they can move forward with their 3 backstops on the roster. I'll tell you why coming up next. It's times like these, we could use a good snack, and Wonderful Pistachios is that good snack because it's going to give you that salty goodness, all the great taste, especially if you get the pre-shelled kind like this one here is jalapeno lime. It's got a nice, fresh, citrusy taste. They've also got chili roasted, and they got salt roasted. They got salt and vinegar, barbecue smokehouse. So many great flavors on the pre-shelled kind, and of course, there's the OG, got the shells on them. Those are good too. Wonderful Pistachios is going to be the best snack that you got in your cabinet because it's got the protein. It's got 6 grams of protein per serving in these bags. Absolutely the best snack to reach for. I reach for Wonderful Pistachios when I'm craving like some chips or some pretzels or something like that, and my body is thanking me for it. Go get yourself some Wonderful Pistachios today at your local store, or go check them out over at wonderfulpistachios.com because it's time to get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. That's wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. If you can't watch us on YouTube, you can always listen to us on your favorite podcast apps. We're seriously on all of them out there. I'm telling you what, Steve, I just had to take my headphones off there and just scratch my head a little bit because, quite frankly, I'd rather think about I really wanted the Reds to win because then that would have been a Pacers win. That would have been a Reds win. That would have been a great night. Go listen to our buddy Tony East over at Locked On Pacers. He's got a much happier podcast going on right now, I assure you. But I know this, Steve. I was happy about a couple of things. We were happy about Santiago Espinal, but I was also happy, albeit it was in a little bit of a pinch, but I was kind of happy to see how the lineup was employed with Tyler Stephenson at DH, José Trevino at catcher, and Austin Wynns at first base. He doubled his career total appearances at first base last night, so that was kind of cool to see. But I think that's, honestly, if they're going to utilize this lineup, and Tyler Stephenson had an 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts night, so that's kind of a rough thing. But I believe that moving forward,
like a platinum, is that a platinum sombrero or like a
platinum sombrero? And he's a day late too. I mean, that was the day after Cinco de Mayo, so you can't even really celebrate with that. Actually, and I looked at this too. And quick side note on this: he's batting $166 in Atlanta, in his home state. It's very interesting for his career. So there's something about some demons he needs to exercise playing at his home state. But anyway, I love the way that this was employed because I feel like with the current guys on the injured list and with the current performance of the lineup going on right now, this is the best move forward.
Yeah. So after batting practice yesterday, Noelvi Marte went to Terry Francona and said, okay, look, I've been feeling this thing in my side. It's been hurting me for a while. I've been wanting to play through it, but it's getting worse. And so he was a late scratch. So after batting practice, so you all know how close that is to the start of the game, Tito had to juggle. That's how we ended up with all 3 catchers in the lineup. Spencer Steer was told, hey, guess what? It's left field time. Get back out there. And Austin Wynns was told, I know. We know, Austin, that you played an inning at first base one time in your life. So today's the day, buddy. Get over there. I will give Austin Wynns credit because he looked good over there. He looked like he knew what he was doing. Now, they did say on the broadcast he has been taking ground balls out there. This wasn't like an emergency, but he has been taking ground balls, making throws, but he fielded the position well. There was one they called a no catch. I think he caught a really nice pick. He still got the out. Yeah, still got the out by shoveling it over to the pitcher covering first base. But by and large, I think he did a great job. He's looked good at the plate. It kept Trevino in the lineup, who is fantastic behind the plate and has looked good offensively. And then, allows you to put Tyler Stephenson at DH. This doesn't run as big a risk as it did when there's 2 catchers on the roster and one of them was the DH, because you could find yourself in a situation, just a wrong foul ball or whatnot. You lose your DH. But I like this deployment because if something had happened, you could have always moved Austin Wynns in behind the plate. So this is probably the best usage of this 3 catcher system, Jeff. And as long as everybody's still hitting and doing what they're doing, I do think Austin Wynns is playing over his head. And I do think to some extent, José Trevino is playing a little bit over his head. But as long as they are, keep going with what works. I like this. They can use this lineup for the next few days, I think.
Hey, look, Katy Perry went to space for like 5 minutes, so everybody can get over their head for a little bit sometimes. It's just when you come down to earth, make sure you got a plan. And I kind of love what they did here. Like, think about who's on the injured list. They got Jeimer Candelario on the IL right now. They got CES on the IL right now. Both of those guys were expected to be big parts of the first base position. And then Spencer Steer played pretty well there, but the outfield needs every bit of help it can get. So I'm pretty sure we're going to see him in the outfield as much as he's able to out there. I would expect if Marte is healthy, you could then employ Espinal in the outfield, put Steer at first base. But still, I think I'd rather have Austin Wynns at first base right now to keep his bat in the lineup than what we've seen from Jeimer Candelario so far. And dare I say what we saw from CES so far? Like, I feel like it's a difference in conversation there. There's definitely potential with CES. But what I've seen from Austin Wynns, I mean, and he hit a double in this game. He was the only extra base hit by the Reds in Tuesday night's loss in Atlanta. So he's still working it with the bat. Keep this man in the lineup as much as he can.
Yeah, CES, Jeff. I read something earlier yesterday hypothesizing that maybe the Reds should, when CES goes to do his rehab assignment, have him play right field. And I don't know if that's not maybe a good idea. But
I don't know how you can hate it at this point. That's for sure.
I'm more concerned, though, just about how he has performed. We saw last year, and we wanted to chalk that up to injury. We saw 60 plate appearances from him this year, Jeff, and he amassed a stunning 0.7 negative WAR, negative 0.7, with a slash line of 158, 183, 298. Managed 2 home runs in that stretch. He was not good. And I'm starting to be concerned about that he's been not good more than he's been good. And I don't know. All of that to say, Jeff, I don't know if I'm even counting on him for anything at this point in time. I think that we have to focus in on what the Reds have. And I don't think that they have him right now. So for me, Jeff, I am good with Austin Wynns over there as long as he continues to play the way that he's played. Not a problem having him as your quasi-regular first baseman while the rest of this stuff sorts out.
Would you, and let me ask you this, because I've talked with some people about this, and I don't know. Like, I feel like a couple of years ago, I just got burned by seeing him out there. Would you rather have Austin Wynns playing first base than Tyler Stephenson?
Yes.
I agree.
Because for a couple reasons. One, if Tyler's not going to be behind the plate, I like him at DH. I mean, let's just really, truly rest his legs and do the things. B, I don't think he felt comfortable over there, and he didn't outright say he didn't like it or didn't want to do it, but there were signs when they were talking about it, and then when they tried to do it there for a hot minute, that he wasn't really into it. Austin Wynns is going to be happy to play wherever he can play, and he's going to be trying to hold on to a job. So I like him over there. I would do it exactly the way Francona did it. I think Francona nailed it. If you're going to play 3 catchers in a lineup, that was the way to do it.
And we're not talking about a crazy anomaly here. I mean, Scott Hatterberg was a catcher before he became a first baseman. So it could happen with Austin Wynns. You never know. But I'm with you. And I remember, and I'm going to throw this up here, a little link for you to click on if you want to. We had an interview with Tyler Stephenson a while back, and he had a tone when he talked about trying to catch like 120 games of confidence. And then he had a tone whenever we asked him about left field of, man, not happening. I think his tone when we talked about first base was somewhere in between those two. It wasn't the confidence that he has being a catcher for a long period of time during a season. But I love what Tito did with these 3 catchers, because right now, the way that they're hitting and the way that they're playing, it's really hard to leave them sitting on a bench for 9 innings.
It is. And I want to circle back just for a minute to the 0 for 5 from Tyler Stephenson. Number one, it was Chris freaking Sale on the mound for
kind of won the Cy Young last year. Kind
of won the Cy Young last year. And B, remember that Tyler is lagging way behind everybody else in at bats and having seen pitching. He's still figuring it out. And while he's had a few moments since he's been back, he's still getting his timing and his eye and his ability to adjust. So I am totally willing to cut him a little bit of slack about how he performed last night. Now he needs to get better, and he needs to get better in a hurry, because this team really can't afford anybody else to be in a prolonged slump. But I'm willing to be like, timeout, everybody relax, let Tyler have a week or two to really get where he needs to be.
Yeah, a quick just to support what you're saying right there. Like, around league average swing speed is like around 73 miles an hour. His first strikeout, 64 mile an hour swing speed. His second strikeout, 61 mile an hour swing speed. His third strikeout, he got caught check swing. It was like 30 miles an hour. And then his fourth strikeout, 66 miles an hour. His fifth strikeout, 66 miles an hour. The bat's still a little bit slow. He's still catching up to where everybody else is. I think he's going to be just fine.
I love it when you find stats that equal my eye test. It makes me so happy. It makes me so happy, Jeffrey.
I try.
All right, listen. We know how 3 catchers can work. We know that this team is almost good. So the question that remains on the table, Jeff Carr, is there any light at the end of the tunnel? Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're into plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is a reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for the trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free TradeMaster program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the TradeMaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. If you can't watch us on YouTube, you can listen to us on your favorite podcasting app. We're on pretty much all of them. And if you find one that we're not and you need us to be, reach out to Jeff. He can probably make it happen for you. We got all kinds of great content coming your way. You don't want to miss any of it. All right, Jeff. They're almost good. The 3 catchers works. Where is the light at the end of the tunnel? Where is some hope? Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You are my only hope.
I appreciate the Star Wars reference coming from that side of the table. No, I would say that the bridge from almost to where they are is to where they want to be is just more consistency. We've seen so many of these plays where it feels like all they need to do is this one thing, and this one thing is super fixable. And I think that we've kind of hit so many of them at this point. I don't want to test out the baseball gods on this, but knock on wood, I feel like we're running out of these bad things, these bad plays to happen. And it feels like they've run through them all and they can kind of know what to do whenever they happen. Lord knows the baseball guys are going to test that today.
What you just did is like going to a ER and telling the staff, boy, it's quiet in here. Like you just don't do that, Jeff.
But I think the good news is, especially for this series, there's 2 more games left, and we got the 2 guys on the mound that we really want on the mound when we're looking for a bounce back. We got Hunter Greene, we got Nick Lodolo. And I know the Braves got Schwellenbach going on Thursday, but I really like these matchups for the Reds. And dare I say, the lineup is due?
The lineup is due. You are not wrong about that. But here's what gives me just a little bit of pause, just the little pang of concern. Hunter Greene is going. I love it when he's on the mound, but I just feel like maybe Atlanta has some devil magic. I'm just concerned because as bad as I hate it with the Cardinals,
that's for sure.
They do when they play the Reds. And boy, did that game feel like the 2020 playoffs for a large portion of it, right?
You brought that up.
I can't get past the fact that they go to Atlanta each and every time and they simply can't hit there. And you talk about Tyler Stephenson. I wonder if that's related to the amount of family he's juggling when he's back home and tickets he's got to order and people he's got to accommodate. He's never performed well. But this team has never performed well. So I would love for the Reds to break this cycle against the Braves today. I love for Hunter Greene to go out there and dominate this lineup and for things to get going. I'll be very interested to see when the lineup comes out today if they run it back with the 3 catchers and kind of just do it the same way again, or if they go a different route, because they've got a righty on the mound and Grant Holmes going against Hunter Greene. So
Gavin Lux is playing third base. Book it,
right? So a little bit different. So the question is Santiago Espinal in the outfield? Is Spencer Steer at first base? Is Austin Wynns on the bench? What are they going to do to adjust to that, right? So I want for you to be right. I want for the lineup to be due. I want them to score runs. I want Hunter to be Hunter. But man, I've got a little, I'm starting to just get a little St. Louis Cardinals PTSD out of all this. Like there's devil magic being spread around now.
Well, I still remember, and thankfully it's been long enough that I'm starting to get hazy on which year it was, but I remember it was a year when the Reds won the division, is either 2010 or 2012, when they were up by what felt like an insurmountable lead against Atlanta in Atlanta. And then they came back with that huge roaring comeback in the 9th inning and ended up winning on a walk-off grand slam. So there's still that haunts me to this day. But I kind of feel like patience, right? Like this last couple of days, they face guys who throw nothing but strikes. Grant Holmes has a walk issue. Make him throw. Look at pitches, make him throw, and force him to keep it in the strike zone consistently. Because when he does and he gives up contact, there's some decent contact that is had against Grant Holmes. So I kind of want to see the Reds really force the issue here, because it felt like Chris Sale was in a real comfort zone. And part of that was his slider. His slider was hitting all of the spots. And part of that was that umpire that had the weirdest strike zone I've ever seen, because it wasn't a consistent strike zone. It was here, it was there, it was everywhere. I don't know how hitters stood in the box and knew what they were looking at. But I feel like if they exercise some patience at the plate today, they're going to get some runs and they're going to feel a lot better about this game against Grant Holmes.
So can we take these last couple minutes before we get out of here today, Jeff, and talk for just a minute about why the Reds should probably never even bother to challenge ever again, as long as they're playing games? Because we did not talk about the fact that they once again lose a challenge that was obvious to everybody but the guy in New York that was reviewing the play.
Yes. The foul ball, that was not a foul ball. That was
not a foul ball.
That was a hit by pitch. It hit his hand. But they never showed the replay on TV, Steve. I never saw it.
No.
And they showed the replay room. They showed the people that look at all the screens, but they don't give us the replay. Makes me think that there was something there. But no.
The Cowboy told me everything I needed to know. He said, and I quote, "The umpires are getting worse. They are not getting better."
No, I don't blame you there. But I will say this too, to add on to that point. How about this? And I know that there's a lot of folks that are harping on Tito's decision to bring in Lyon Richardson in the 10th inning, but you got to give Tito a ton of flowers on this, because he lost his first challenge, Steve. There were 2 more crew chief reviews after he went out and talked to the crew chief about certain plays. Now, they didn't go the Reds' way, but essentially the Reds got 3 challenges in this game.
They did. Now, the crew chief review for the home run, I'm not going to give Francona that much credit for, because they do that a lot. They will do that. And that was the correct call, having seen the review.
Yes, it was not
did not go out. It wasn't touched. But the other one, that was all on Tito. Tito got out there and massaged his way into getting the challenge that he wanted without having a challenge, and getting them to do a crew chief review, which also didn't go the Reds' way. But because we didn't get to see the angle that would have. There is mention on the broadcast that on the big board They were showing an angle that was basically from where the third base coach was standing that looked like maybe the guy was out. And Cowboy goes, boy, they sure did take that off the screen quick. And then here comes the result that no, the runner is safe. Cowboy was channeling all of my thoughts last night as he talked about replay review.
I'm just saying, we don't know for certain that Tito doesn't have a connection to the Force. I mean, they always say that the Jedi mind trick works on the weak-willed, and we know that these umpires have been pretty weak-willed this season. So he just had to go up and say, you want to review this play.
They've definitely been weak. I wish he had that same power for the guys in New York.
Well, it's not a long distance thing. It's going to be like close. Anyway, yeah.
All right. That is probably where we need to stop before Jeff makes more awful Star Wars comparisons. That's going to do it for this edition of Locked on Reds. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in after that terrible, horrible, no good, very bad loss last night to the Atlanta Braves. We appreciate you being here and making us your first listen. Make sure you check out Tim Daniel after each and every game. He goes live all 162 to tell you about what you just saw. Now that you've made Locked on Red your first listen, go make Locked on MLB your second listen as Sully gives you a daily look at the biggest stories around the league. Until next time, we'll continue to gather up the news, the notes, the rumors, and the reports, and we'll bring them all right back here to keep you locked on Reds every single day.
I did not have ending this show with a smile on my face on my bingo card. I just want to point that out.
Whew, we powered through, buddy. We powered through.
Star Wars reference. It's the Star Wars reference.